Thank you for letting me be back here. If this isn't speaking to the choir, I don't know what is. What can I possibly say that you are not already wearing on your t-shirts? It's very different from trying to share the word with people who are not on our wavelength. So what I feel like I'm trying to do this afternoon is just maybe remind us of a few things that are really so important to try to spread in every venue that we have, because we're all people with connections, we're all people with constituencies, so to speak. We just really need to swell this crowd. We need the people in the pews who I keep calling them. The people in the pews are like the elephant in the living room. Where are they? Are they Anyway, we need to awaken the people in the pews. That did not count on my 8 minutes. That was my introduction. What I'd like to remind you of, because I see and I hear in the words, in the feeling, in the energy over there, I see that you already have this. You've got it. But let's really take a look at it. Do you all remember Barbara Marx Hubbard's spiral of co-creation? She called it the map of co-creation. She's a futurist and an author. And she did this big spiral. And it starts, of course, 13.7 billion years back there. And then it's a spiral that kind of goes like this and shows how life, how the world, how the universe, how we got here to this afternoon. And what Barbara Marx Hubbard does is, through that spiral, she shoots sort of like another line. And that line is to represent the divine energy. The divine energy that got it all started, right? And that continues throughout the whole thing. And it is part of the whole thing. But I think we're here this afternoon because we're just beginning to grasp a different way of understanding this. A different way of understanding this. She shows that, it took a couple million years before what we would call life, and that what we would call Homo sapiens is only like 50,000 years or something like that. We're very young in this great scheme of things. So I'd like to just, as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, I myself have not spent a lot of time thinking about this or imagining it. What would it have been like way, way, way back, 50,000 years, if that's what it was, to be in a cave, to be living in a very primitive kind of way, and have somebody discover fire, to have that first shot of flame, imagine the shock, what is this, or the curiosity, or the wonder, and then how long did it take for people to get used to what that did for them? How long was it between that first little flame and the smell of cooked meat? How long did it take to make that connection? And the same thing with language. I haven't thought about that before being asked to come and talk to you this afternoon. But the development of something like language, of how to communicate with each other, that we finally agree that certain gestures or certain sounds or certain syllables begin to mean the same thing, so we get communication going. It's like a click, but then it takes a long time to develop, right? Same thing with the planting of seeds. You plant the seeds, how long did it take to get the implications of that? We can't go wandering now, trying to survive and hunting and all that. We got to stay here and tend the crops. So how long was that? The thing that's intriguing is this development of human consciousness. The development of an understanding of what it means to be a human being. That's taken the longest of all, I think. Was the development of human consciousness, was that all of a sudden realizing what? When did it become that there was a spark there that was more than a spark in other species, or a different kind of a spark? Sometime when do. Just sit down and think about stuff like that, because it's very interesting. The fact that the divine energy is going all through it, for me, has affected the way I pray, has affected the way I look at this whole big fat mess that we are in the middle of. When you look at Barbara Marx Hubbard's spiral, if any of you have seen it, I saw it in the book, I made copies of it, I use it all the time. It goes, it gets to the 50,000 years where the human beings show up, and then the spiral goes faster and faster as we're coming closer to now. And in 1945, there's this little burst in that spiral. When we, the human race, discovered how to kill thousands of people in one bang, that we discovered that bomb. Now imagine that kind of a spiral and the struggle to get the implications of that. The struggle to get the implications of that, we still don't really get it. Now I would say we in this room get it. We haven't figured out how to help the race, the species, humanity, to understand the implications of spending all of our time on exterior survival, on exterior gain, exterior success, exterior everything, exterior technology. We have arrived now at the time when so many writers, thank God, are saying, you know what? We haven't developed our spiritual selves to the extent that we have developed our external selves. We haven't developed our interior technology. This is the call of our time. I think that all the justice issues, Barbara said I'm working on justice issues, but they're all one thing. How do human beings treat one another? But underneath that question, I think, is what does it mean to be a human being on this planet? We're here such a short time. What's it mean? What's it about? It's important, I think, for us because we're some of the few generations that can see what they couldn't see before. You know, I mean, when Columbus set sail, they weren't sure the world wasn't flat. When other civilizations were alive, now knowing other civilizations existed in other parts of the planet, you know. Now we have the technology, we can see our planet. We can see the kind of images that we were just shown. We know instantly when something happens on our planet. So it is very important for us to kind of get a grasp of what we can see, which is how interconnected it all is. And we're getting such great wisdom. You know, Barbara Marx Hubbard brings up the 13.7 billion years. Brian Swift, Thomas Berry, you're all into trying to understand the implications of the universe story, trying to understand the implications of scientific discovery about matter and spirit and energy. We don't get it yet. We really don't understand it yet. There is a program called Awakening the Dreamer. Google that if you've never heard of it. Awakening the Dreamer is a symposium whose whole purpose in being is to try to raise awareness and increase an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, and socially just human presence on the planet. It's a tool. I'm not a commercial for that, but it is a marvelous tool because that program, that thing, you could use in schools, with hospital staffs, with parishes, in your neighborhood. You could use it with your brother-in-law in his living room if you could get him to sit down and shut up and watch it. What that program does is it asks the question, where are we? Where are we as a human race? And the first section of it is brilliant DVD, brilliant photography, brilliant stuff about how bad things are, about the ecological devastation, the poverty, the spiritual malaise. It's a